أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So this is our fourth week for the Who Am I part of our journey. For the last couple of weeks we studied last week we finished the conversation between God and Iblis, and we were reading it as what's going on within ourselves. It's not somebody else's story, but it is my own story. So this week the conversation will continue, but so far we have been studying Surah Al-A'raf, which is the 7th chapter, and we studied up to verse number 19. So this week we will start from verse 19 and go forward. So last week Iblis was making a case as a challenging the Creator, saying that because of you I got deviated, so I'm going to block human's path or Adam's path to the truth. So this was so there the conversation ended. Now comes the verse 19. So وَيَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةَ فَكُلَا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And as for you two, O Adam, dwell you and your wife in this garden, and eat both of you whatever you may wish, but do not approach this one tree. If you do so, you become evildoers. You become walimin. Walimin, I was checking some translation. It can be taken as tyrant, wrongdoing, so sort of things can meaning of this word. So if we go back a little bit, so Adam was created, angels and Iblis was commanded to prostrate to Adam, which we regarded as being subservient to human. So Iblis rejected this command, but angels did obey the command. So now Creator turns to Adam and says that, O Adam, you and your wife dwell in this garden, and whatever you wish, eat from, except this one tree. If you do eat from it, you are going to be among wrongdoers. So I'll just raise a few questions here, then we can discuss. And if you have any further questions, of course you can. So again, we are going to read this as not an Adam's story at some point of time, but it's my story. So what is it that we are dwelling in? What sort of a garden? What does this mean? So this is one question. There's this Jannah is being mentioned in here. So where is the garden? What is the garden? Second, there's this you and your wife together enjoy. So there's this dual friendship, if you like. What is the friendship? Then whatever you may wish. So a lot of things in whatever is the garden is granted, but there's this one tree which is forbidden. What is this forbidden tree? This would be another question. And what is the relation between eating from the tree and becoming evildoer? Or who is it that I am wronging? Am I wronging the tree? Am I wronging the owner of the tree? Who is it that I am wronging? This would be questions that comes to my mind. So if you have ideas about any of these questions or any other comment, yes.
It seems to me that the person you're wronging, I think it becomes apparent later on, but is yourself, because when you eat from the tree, when Adam and from the tree, what happens is nakedness becomes exposed and it becomes embarrassed, right? And so that's a direct consequence. kind of follow something within disobeying. I watched a lecture kind of talk about this like story, and what he kind of mentioned is like the applicability to our lives is, you might wonder and like question like, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create a pig if we're not allowed to eat pigs? Why did he create alcohol if we're not, supposed to engage in it? So this is kind of drawing the parallel of there doesn't need to be a forbidden tree in general, but the created it there and you can keep it there. And so it's not just because something is there, you have the right to engage in it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. There are restrictions and kind of forbidden things placed on us. I think the extrapolation that you made from that is that there's a different kind of involuntary practice when you do something righteous versus abstaining from something evil. Right? It's two different. It's like arms and legs. That you're working at. It's two different systems.
So then let's go one at a time. So what is the garden? The world that we live in. And I am put in here to enjoy whatever I can. So what is the forbidden tree? All the ones that are haram. And so they are pork, alcohol, a few things.
Yeah, even like non-tangibles, like riba,
So gossiping. Okay. What else? Like these are the things that are forbidden. How do I know of them being forbidden? So do I know of them being forbidden? How does it work? Are there things in this existence which are forbidden to me? Because the ones that you said, yes, they are forbidden by speech. So Creator says, don't get close or don't eat pork or don't eat alcohol. So these are clear restrictions. What else are there that are forbidden to me? But they're going to be tempting to me as well. So I'm not that much tempted by pork, for instance. I've never tasted alcohol, so it's not tempting to me, really. Maybe not. And for some people, it might be. What are the trees that are out there?
That belongs to someone else.
Something that belongs to somebody else. Yeah. For example,
Like somebody else.
somebody else's. Okay. Yes.
I will see someone else's house, which is much, let's say, beautiful, more beautiful than mine. I want to touch it. I want to eat it.
It's a gingerbread house.
Yes. So I was thinking about it like, yes, this is clearly the things that not everything in this garden is allowed to be eaten. So let's say this little girl over there. So
I can't eat her. I can't take her home either.
you cannot take her home. So she might also be a garden. Like the universe is a garden that I enjoy, but every single thing in existence can also be considered as a separate garden within the garden. And there are things in this garden which I shouldn't be touching. Like I shouldn't be engaging with her in a way that I am not allowed to touch her in this sense. Or this is a friend of mine. I like this guy. So this relationship is another sort of garden that the Creator puts me in. And can I enjoy this relationship to whatever extent I want? Or there are things in this garden which I shouldn't be touching really. I'm not allowed to benefit something in this relationship from a certain angle. Like there's a tree in there. Let's say in terms of my daughter. So if, for example, or let me ask you the question to you. So what might be the tree in here between father and daughter, which is a tree that is forbidden?
Ownership,
Ownership.
control, power,
So
love, and
yeah. ownership of anything actually. Let's say I want to be, I'm acting kindly towards her, and I am claiming ownership over my love. I say, with my tender love, I took care of you. So this tree in there was approached from the wrong perspective. Was love really belonging to me? Because again, those two people are put into the garden. Garden do not belong to them. And the owner of the garden said that, enjoy it. I am the owner, you are my guest. Enjoy it as a guest. So my owner and her owner says that here is the garden for you. I am giving you this girl for you to benefit from it, but it's not yours. The garden is not yours. And there is something in this relationship, if you get to touch it, then that means you are missing the point. Because by putting something in this garden untouchable, the owner of the garden is saying that as a sign that this garden is mine, don't touch this. For the rest of it, enjoy it. You are my guest, enjoy it as a guest, not as an owner. But if I tend to say that, I want to get this one as well. I don't care who is the owner. Maybe it's nobody's, or it's mine. So in this relationship between me and my daughter, I start saying that you are my daughter. You have to do what I do say. And I'm truly meaning this, as if I have the control over her, as if she owes me something because of her existence. Vice versa. I mean, this relationship can be in the friendship or between me and my parents. I might be demanding things from my parents as if they have to, because I am precious and I own them as if. I mean, in any sort of relationship, not only this, like any sort of relationship. So in everything, there is a tree. Everything is a garden. Oh, sure. Would you like that? So in this existence, actually, every single thing might be a garden, as maybe actually is a garden, and in every garden there is a tree, which is forbidden. And I do experience this. There is a way, and this tree is important because it's going to make me realize something. And in every relationship, this tree, if I approach this tree, it's going to make me realize my nakedness, which we will come. In every sort of engagement in this existence, I do see that if I approach it from that angle, if I approach that tree, I realize my nakedness. But we will come to that. So overall, I will summarize what I understood. This being invited into a garden means we are guests. We are not the owners. I'm not the owner. I don't own anything. I am just being put in here. I opened my eyes. She opened her eyes. And it was not her choice. She come here as a guest. And she's enjoying several people taking care of her for free for now. So the Creator is expecting her to offer her thanks. So she will need to get trained, and learn that I am being provided, and I need to turn this back, offer my thanks. But to whom? To my parents, or to the true owner who made these parents my servants? So she is now in training. So, and in every sort of relationship, there is this tree which is, I shouldn't be touching. And if I touch it, I'm going to be among Walimin. And Cameron said that, who am I wronging? Am I wronging the owner? Am I wronging the tree? Eventually, as you said, we will see that I am wronging myself. By establishing this relationship between me and my friend, or me and my daughter, in the wrong way, I wrong myself. Hence, I suffer, and I deserve this suffering. Anything that you would like to add about this part?
I can try. Well, I was thinking, I feel like there's much more than one tree I need to stay away from. Like, there's so many paths to misguidance and hurting myself and wrong, like being a wrongdoer. But then this idea that everything is a garden, everything has its own tree, it helps in seeing that, there's many ways, there's many trees actually. But then I was also thinking maybe just going further into analogy or the tree example, it's maybe you have jealousy or you have pride or you're oppressing or let's say you're ungrateful, and these might all be branches of a tree, we could say. As you get closer to a tree, like these all lead to a tree, which I guess at the core maybe the issue in all of these is that you're claiming ownership or that you don't see that true owner in all these bad qualities that lead you to misguidance. So I was trying to understand how a tree could maybe represent multiple things.
And last week, or the week before, at the beginning of this chapter, it was saying that angels and Iblis, so angels prostrated to Adam, Iblis objected. So angels were plural, all of them were subservient to human. There was one Iblis which said that, no, I won't. And in this part of now the story, there are all other trees or everything else that you can benefit, but there's this one tree that you shouldn't touch. So it looks like as if the thing that is being represented by Iblis, although it might be looking different, but when we were discussing it, we said that Iblis is representing lies, the thing that doesn't have any truth. So even though it might be like 2 + 2 = 4, 2 + 2 = 5, 6, 7, 8, doesn't matter. The truth value of all of them is the same. It's lie. It doesn't have any truth. So this was the case for Iblis. So Iblis represents denial. You deny the truth. When it comes to the garden now, again, all the trees, you are allowed to benefit from them, but there's one tree that you shouldn't be touching. So it looks like as if there is a certain way of engaging with this garden which is bad. And the bad way of engaging is boiling down all to the same thing. And it will define what will happen, because when Satan comes, it's going to Iblis will tell them that if you eat from this tree, such and such will happen. And this would be the definition of tree. We will come to that. Next verse, 20. فوسوس لهما الشيطان ليبدي لهما ما وري عنهما من سوآتهما وقال ما نهاكما ربكما عن هذه الشجرة إلا أن تكونا ملكين أو تكونا من الخالدين. Thereupon, Satan whispered unto the two with a view to making them conscious of their nakedness, of which, until this point, they had been unaware. And he said, your sustainer has forbidden you this tree, so that you too, otherwise you too become as angels, or you will live forever. So just to paraphrase it, Satan says, your creator has forbidden this tree because if you eat from this tree, you're going to become angels, or you will become eternal, live forever. And Qur'an says this is a whisper of Satan. So what is it? What is a whisper? Let me first pose the question in general again. Here we have this suggestion being whispered. So it's not like somebody comes out and openly speaks. It's sort of a whisper. Why is it a whisper? And the purpose of this whispering is to make them conscious of their nakedness, which they were unaware. What is your nakedness that you're unaware? What is my nakedness that I am unaware? Second question. And this Satan's reasoning about, or Satan's argument, this, if you eat from this tree, you will become either eternal or like angel. This is why God doesn't want you to be eternal. God doesn't want you to be as if. So what is this? And do you hear such whispers? Since this is my story, your story, do you hear such whispers? Yes. Any comments? These are.
It's like trying to find the rationale behind the command. I mean, in the Qur'an, there's a lot of the time there are a lot of commands and a lot of prohibitions, which are not, it comes and it sort of goes, and there's no any cause or explanation or in-depth explanation of why that is the case. And you have like mufassirin who come and dig in it and talk about how this is the wisdom, or that is the wisdom, or that's the wisdom behind it. But then at the end of the day, you just have, as a believer, you have to comply with that, command or that prohibition. And so as human beings, a lot of the times we like to know more, and there's nothing wrong with knowing more as long as you comply with Allah's command. But then sometimes you trick yourself into, trying to sort of twist this command to make yourself think that it's okay if I, maybe this time or that time. But then I think it's always a slippery slope where you do it for this time, then it becomes okay to do it all the time, right?
So this is the whisper?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we hear this sort of whispers. We are trying to find our way to make it more acceptable. So what is this nakedness? Why Satan wants to make this couple to realize their nakedness? What is the point?
It almost sounds like he's trying to teach you or something, or teach, because make you realize your nakedness, isn't that a good thing? To realize something, be conscious of something.
You guys all have clothes. What does nakedness here mean?
Like when I read it, I understand like your impotence and your neediness and like your reality. So if I recognize it, it seems like a good thing.
I think maybe it comes back to the original, what happened to Iblis before, and when Allah, basically put him in a state of nakedness where he, took away all his honor and his status, as someone who was amongst the angels, and now he's just, sort of ostracized and so he wants the human being to be in the same state, even if it's temporarily or for a short time, that he's put the human in the same state that he's in.
Actually, that's a very good point. When we were discussing Satan being, the Creator was saying in a few verses before, saying to Satan, go down from where you are. And while we were discussing this, we said, where is Satan being cast down from? While we were discussing this, we said, Satan considered himself to be at a level higher than Adam. And the Creator says, you don't belong there. You are not there. You assume or you fancy that you are superior, as if you have some sort of a level. Come down, go down. You are not there. Just wake up. It is your illusion that you think you are better or you have a status. You don't have a status other than being a creation. You are created. You do not have anything in and of yourself. So Satan was cast down from his false image, actually, because he thought he was superior. So now in here, and as a result of that, he became naked in the sense that he realized that he doesn't have anything. Like think of a army officer who had several signs over here. What's it?
Ranks.
Ranks, yeah, several ranks over here. Somebody comes and takes the ranks over, or shows them that they are toys, they're not real. So rips off all the ranks that the guy supposedly had. So the nakedness is making him realize his real state. You're just a regular man. You're not a general. So nakedness becomes apparent to Satan. And Satan was very much offended by that in the beginning part of the story. Because Satan wanted to stay in this dream world of feeling important. And we do that. We want to feel important. Somebody comes and wakes us up. And we were giving the example of, let's say, I was born in this Muslim family. My family is like from this shuyukh for several generations. So we are important born into this family, I feel like I am important. Then somebody comes, let's say somebody who just recently converted to Islam, and says that, who are you? You were born into this family. Is it making you any superior? So it wakes me up from my dream world, let's say. So it shows me my nakedness. So this is how it happened with Satan. So Satan was, in this story, angry. So if he comes and does this to me, I become angry with him. And I start saying that you are attacking me. You are jealous of me as if, because you are not, like your ancestry is not so much good, sort of. And I'm saying that, okay, I'm going to show that he is also naked. You are also naked as a revenge. And but this is not to teach you. I have this urge in me. If I am hurt in terms of my feeling, I want to make people feel the same so that they're going to be hurt. But it's not going to be like this for Adam in the story. Adam will benefit from it. Realizing nakedness will be good for Adam. It didn't work well for Satan, and I feel like I have an aspect which doesn't like realizing its nakedness as Satan realized it, and he was not happy with it. But then there's this other side of human for which realizing nakedness is a training, a teaching, a necessary learning process. And nakedness, human is needy. Would you like to say anything about needy? What do you mean by needy? You need money?
Sure. I need everything. Especially, humans are in need of eternity, first of all. We don't like things that perish or temporary things. We are searching for some type of meaning, purpose that's eternal, that's beyond just this existence that we see.
So humans wants eternity is a very abstract thing. Can you give an example for you yearning for eternity?
I want a fulfilled heart that doesn't go away. I just want to be fulfilled and satisfied and happy forever.
More practical than that, like scientists who publishes a book, he wants that book to be read to the end of times.
Yeah. It should get outdated.
That's seeking eternity. Or, for example, an architect who builds this, great structure and makes it so nice and works on it for such a long time. And marvels at it once it's built and wants it to stand for till the end of times. That's seeking eternity.
Well, today I was using my computer, which I bought 10 years ago, and finally I confessed that it got old. It was too slow. So I don't want my computer to get old, actually. It's getting old. Because when you buy something and you like something, you don't want it to perish. But my computer is perishing. It's not.
10 years is good. You did a good job, 10 years.
It's not running anything anymore. And I need to buy a new one, or like you guys know, I love my previous car. so much so that like my old car used to be a Volkswagen. The new one, but still, I am keeping the keychain for the old car. So there's this sort of a relationship, and I don't want to let it go. If there's some sort of a beauty, I want to stay with it. I don't want it to go away. So there's this yearning for eternity is there. But cars are getting old. I am getting old. Life is going away. So I am in need of eternity. Everything in me says that I want unending life of my car, unending life.
More than just life, eternity for everything, in happiness, beauty, perfection, not just eternity in life, eternity in all the emotions and qualities too.
So, why does
I mean, just thinking in a different direction, just this idea of the neediness. I was thinking about the vulnerability. The vulnerability, like also realizing that vulnerability, also that capacity to do wrong, and realizing like that capacity to make mistakes and to do something that's actually displeasing. Like I was actually able to disobey a law. I think that was kind of a wake up call as well.
Mhm. Yes, it's very good. This word vulnerability. Yeah, I am vulnerable.
Now we have the power of vulnerability also.
Yes. So, yeah, because human has the sense that as if I can manage anything and everything, but realizing that I can manage nothing in and of myself other than choice. I do not have power over anything other than choosing what do we do. I guess we keep giving this example, but I choose to raise my hand. I do not even know how this hand is being raised. All the chemical reactions, all the neural transmission, whatever. A lot of things are happening. I simply will to raise my hand and it is being done. And a little virus, microbe, whatever, and then I'm not able to raise it. Although I choose to raise it, I cannot raise it anymore, which tells me that you were not the doer of it in the first place. I am so much needed really in this existence. So why is Satan saying that this becoming like angels or living forever? Why this is being used as a, if you like, trickery? Because it's like a whisper in a tricking way, it is being said. So is this such a, and they fall for it. Human, but what does it mean that being like an angel and living eternal? And practically speaking, what does it mean when it comes to my relationship with my daughter, with my spouse, with my parents? What is being like an angel or being like living eternal? Because this is the thing that I shouldn't get close to. But in this relationship, what does it mean to be like an angel and being eternal?
For me, one perspective is, since as you said, they fall for it, like it's something they want, it's something they yearn for. And when I check myself, like, what is it? What does it mean for me? It's, I guess they both somehow remind me the perfection that I'm looking for. The eternal, in a sense, that unending satisfaction that I get from something. Or angelic, in a sense that it's almost transient, like it's so perfect. It's not out of this world. It's not. It's out of this world. And in practically, what it means, like currently, I'm trying to write some grants, and I want them. I want to make them in a form that I will just send them, and reviewers will love them and give me the best points ever. I really like it. Like I really want it. Not just as a joke. Like yes, when it comes to daily life, I just make it. I just say it as a joke. But deep inside, this is what I'm looking for. Every sentence, I trying to find the right word so that it will be the one, the perfect, eternal in that sense, in a sense. But at the same time, I know by practice, like by experience, I'm naked. Like I can't even think the right way to do it. Every meeting I have with my colleague, it tells me that you are the worst person, writing this brand. That's how I feel with every meeting we have. Every idea I throw, it's either rejected by others or being corrected. So I guess we, have similar experience with different things. So we want this perfection, we want this eternity in everything we do. But at the same time, we see our nakedness. And the tension between them, it's almost something forbidden. Like we want it, but it's not given to us.
It's very tempting to write the perfect grant. It's very tempting to become the perfect father, perfect son. But so is it something bad to be a perfect son or perfect father? Or is it bad to will to write the perfect grant? What's wrong with that?
That'd be scary.
So what's wrong with it? And in khutbahs, actually, we will hear a lot saying that khatibs will say, be the best children to your parents, or be the best among people. So what's wrong with being the best? What's wrong with aiming perfection for perfection? And even sometimes, especially I come across this in here, in khutbahs, people say ihsan means perfection, and we should aim for ihsan, and that means be the best in your classes, for example. I heard this a lot. So what's wrong with being the best in classes then? If this is the tree.
Yeah, but this is different from, being the best is different from being perfect. Being perfect is very scary. If you see something done perfectly, which never happens, or anything is done perfectly, but when you see something done close to perfectly, you're just like, wow, and you don't want to take your eyes off of it, and somehow your soul just gets shaken, and you question a lot of things about, the world. How could this be done this way, right? And this is just getting close to perfection. And so I think perfection would be something very scary and something that humans can't handle.
Well, we wish for it, don't we? Like we are trying to perfect, let's say, your cooking. I mean, if you are into cooking, you're trying to perfect your biryani each and every time. This week, Khatib was saying that this is how biryani comes to my mind. It says the duty of girls shouldn't be perfecting their cooking of biryani, so he was saying. But we are trying to perfect something or make it better each and every time, right? What is wrong with that? Or is it what this is talking about?
I mean, I think one of the things with this kind of idea of perfection is there's a hidden arrogance in it, in the sense of thinking, okay, I should be having this perfection or striving for this perfection. And part of it is almost not different than the shaitanic thinking that I should have a status somehow better than other creations, somehow, at a certain rank or whatever.
So I think maybe he's, my tuition is that he wants them to be in the same, or they sort of have this need, and Shaitan exposes this sort of need in them to be in the same status as God. Because the only entity, like you look at all of Allah's creation, nothing is both perfect and eternal. Only Allah is perfect and eternal. Right? And so if you are perfect and eternal, you're basically Allah.
So then let's take the story from them to me. So in me, when I seek for perfection, for whom am I seeking perfection? So if I cook the best or the perfect biryani, what will I say? here is the best chef on earth. The perfection I claim for myself, right? I am trying to become a chef of God of chefs, if you like.
Chef.
Chef God.
Chef.
Chef God. Or, I don't know, grand God or father. So in fatherness, by seeking to become the perfect, and I'm seeking this perfection for myself. I'm not taking it as I'm going to observe how perfect the provider is. So my relationship between me and my daughter, the love and the care and everything, does any of it belong to me? A few minutes ago, I was saying that I'm not able to raise my hand. Am I going to claim ownership of the love, the care? Where are all those feelings coming from, as if I am the owner of them? So as I try to perfect them, I'm attributing all this to myself. So this is the wrong or forbidden tree. In this relationship, there it is. In friendship relationship, still perfection. It is there. And claiming the perfect for myself. Is it clear what it means, claiming perfection for myself versus still trying to do perfection, but with the purpose of, I want to observe manifestation of the perfect one. My choice, I'm choosing my will to see that, okay, I would like to see how the Creator manifests himself in father-daughter relationship. I might take it this way. If I do it like that, it's going to be a garden, and I'm benefiting from the garden as a guest. He just pours the fruits, and I'm benefiting from it. But as I get close to this tree, and now I'm starting to claim things for myself. And this I experience in my everyday life. It might be in grant writing, it might be in father-daughter relationship, it might be in like spouse, friendships, any sort of relationships. As long as there is perfectionism of, for the sake of myself, then yes, this is where it is taking us to. I want to become God, actually. This is the hidden or the forbidden tree, and it is there. And it is forbidden because I can never reach it anyways. I mean, I can never do perfection or anything. It's a thing that I never get to there, but I attempt it. They will attempt eating the fruit. And right at the time, in the two verses later, they will realize their nakedness as they taste the fruit. We will come to there. Any comments before we pass to verse 21? So, in 21, Satan says, وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاسِحِينَ. And he swore unto them, verily I am of those who wish you well indeed. Have you heard Satan saying that? Ever?
I'm trying to do that, but I never really this.
It tastes so good. Take it. Huh? And it sounds very correct when I say, I want to be the perfect father, or I want to be the perfect son. I want to write the perfect grant. It doesn't sound disturbing. It sounds as if it is something correct, as Satan is saying, indeed I am your, I wish you well indeed. As if it is something that's good for me. This is how I feel about this whisper. I'm not saying that I'm going to kill people. I'm going to get the grant and invent cure for cancer. It's going to be good for humanity. It doesn't feel wrong on the surface. It feels like it's a very correct suggestion. And I experienced this as well. "22nd. فَدَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. And thus he led them on with deluding thoughts. فلما ذاق الشجرة بدت لهما سوآتهما وتفيقا يخصفان عليهما من ورق الجنة. But as soon as the two had tasted of the tree, they became conscious of their nakedness, and they began to cover themselves with pieced together leaves from the garden. وَنَادَاهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا أَلَمْ أَنْهَكُمَا عَنْ تِلْكُمَا الشَّجَرَةِ وَأَقُلْ لَكُمَا إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمَا عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. And their sustainer called unto them, Did I not forbid that tree unto you, and tell you, verily Satan is your open enemy? What's going on in here? In your lives, how does this happen? This is not a historical story. This is not Asatirul Awwalin, as we have been studying since the first week. This is not the story of the ancient. This is my story, your story. What happens when you eat from the tree, this forbidden tree? Do you realize your nakedness? What does that mean?
I think you immediately regret it and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So practically, how does this happen? So in friend, spouse, husband, wife, father-daughter relationship, when I reach the tree from, let's say, the perfection point of view, as we have been discussing, if I approach the tree from here, bite the apple, let's say, whatever the tree was, if I get into a relationship like this, how do I realize my nakedness? Do you realize your nakedness? Practically, how does it happen?
You realize the fruit was rotten, and that gives you no joy, actually. And the whispering was false. For
example, again, very abstract. Help us with some.
Let's go. I like to give him as an example. He writes the most perfect grant, gets accepted instantly. They make a party for him. Oh, you're amazing. And he feels good for like maybe 30 minutes. He's walking home. He's like, I feel so empty inside.
Now I have to do better on the next grant.
Now everyone expects more from me. I feel so empty inside. This isn't what I expected. It went away. I only experienced joy for a bit. Now it's again, I'm in the rotten hell or whatever. And then I assume after he realizes his nakedness, becomes conscious, he starts walking to the cemetery and looking at it and thinking about life and death, trying to find some leaves to find comfort.
Next to cemetery.
Yeah. He's like thinking about life. He's like, I did something, and he's trying to find meaning again, piecing together some meaning together. Is that more concrete?
Good. That's very good. Yes. As we taste the fruit, I guess.
I feel like,
yes.
I don't know, I feel like part of the clothing as well is dignity, right? That part of what clothing of a human being represents is that dignity, right? And so I feel like, that crossing over is actually a loss of dignity. And so like the nakedness is that in a sense, but it's also just that shame, and I don't know. There's part of me that's thinking about, the zalimeen, right? As this, with the transgression of things are just not in the right place. And when things are not in the right place, it's just not nice. It's ugly, right?
Good.
And you want to put it back. You can't put the apple back in the tree.
A few weeks ago, we were talking about, it was the beginning of term. We said Penn students and, was it Kamal, I guess?
No, it was coming here with the idea of being the first in their
Yes,
It was
okay.
Penny, yeah.
Yes, and also it was mentioned in the khutbah. Muhammad also mentioned in the khutbah.
Yes, Muhammad was
Yes.
also mentioned in the khutbah.
So he was saying that in the orientation, they will tell you that you are the best, you are cream of the cream, so on and so forth, right? And I was feeling as such when I get into college, and this lasted until the first midterm for me. First midterm made me realize that it was just a bubble, and how miserable I am again. Am I going to be able to finish school on time, or am I going to fail from this class, whatever? So this false image immediately just disappears. And sometimes it lasts for 30 minutes, as in your example. But then immediately I realize that it's not satisfying me. It doesn't give me this eternal perfection that I was seeking for. I am still needy, because perfection means I'm not needy anymore. I cook the best biryani, I'm the best. But once I cook it, or once I get the best grant, once I get into UPenn, whatever, I feel like I'm not satisfied still. I'm still lacking something. Nakedness means you're lacking your clothes. I'm realizing that I am lacking, I am needy. This is my nakedness. And it happens immediately, and it happens all the time. So this story is my story for any sort of perfection that I am seeking for myself. As if saying that, are you really supposed to seek perfection for yourself, or enjoy the garden? You are invited to somebody else's garden. You're not going to own anything for yourself in here. So what's it about this? They began to cover themselves with leaves. How do you cover yourself with leaves?
I heard that Trava mentioned a little bit, piecing together some meanings that you can find in the cemetery.
Sure.
So how does it cover your nakedness? Meaning covers your neediness, or what happens?
It was you, not me. You said it.
I guess when you find yourself in such a state where you were expecting something to be amazing and it turned out that no, in the end actually it was just a lie. It wasn't amazing. Then you start seeking for an escape or something to fill that void in you. And I guess at that moment, since you realize your reality of neediness and impotence, like you're very sincere in it, you can be very sincere in trying to actually look at things like the reality of things and trying to see the meaning behind it or see the purpose, like how weak you are and how you're being taken care of in your life actually, and all the things that you thought you were in control of are actually being given to you, they're being granted to you. You start seeing the bounty and things like it's like you're piecing together leaves of like bounty and you're becoming grateful maybe. It's possible.
Why are they pieces? Can you make a cloth from leaves?
Probably not.
So as if I am trying to cover up my nakedness with something that can never cover my nakedness. Because when you say meaning, it looks like it can cover my nakedness. I mean, if I start seeing it by not claiming it to myself, it looks like I can cover up my nakedness. Realizing my nakedness is, and admitting it would be, admitting my nakedness would be the cover for it, or actually it will come next. Creator will say that we give you a cloth. But without taking the cloth that is given to me by my Creator, I am trying to cover up myself with things that are not capable of covering my nakedness.
So he fails the grant, but then he goes and eats ice cream or something.
Ice cream. Might be. Or is it that I am trying to come up with fake excuses for my failure, which are not really. So, for example, since we started with your grant, so
I hope it won't be failed.
No, you're gonna pass, but it will fail you.
Oh, okay.
So that's
That's better.
That's in the world you'll be good.
This was a very honest confession. Okay. So, for example, I mean, if let's say, I tried so hard to publish a paper, it got rejected several times, and eventually it went through. And I realized that it's not satisfying me, because I was thinking that after so many years, if this gets through, I'm going to be the best. But it didn't. So what do I do then? I try to find some sort of excuses why actually it was good to at least publish this paper. It's not useless anyways. Although my intention of doing it was for self-perfection, and now I am tasting lack of it, still I'm trying to find some sort of excuses for myself to say that, well, still it was worthy. I mean, look, as a Muslim scholar, I am in this domain. I am doing it for the sake of my religion. Whatever. I am trying to come up with some sort of a thing that's going to satisfy me in there. Although my intention for publishing the test paper was perfectly for my selfish reasons, now I am trying to come up with some acceptable excuses which is going to make me hide from my own view my nakedness and try to find some sort of satisfaction for this, cover it up in a way. But they are leaves. Leaves are not really covering up. I don't know how I will experience, but I am feeling it in parent-child relationship in the way that I am the child. So let's say the parents are putting so much effort to raise the child, and the child is not meeting the expectation. Because it's inevitable, no matter what, there's going to be you will eventually not meet expectation of your parents because the bar is raising, expectations are raising, whatever. Because it is a tree which is forbidden, there is going to be some sort of an upsetting in there. We are going to be upset in that relationship. So when this happens, what do we say? Because in this case, it's not a paper for 3 years work. It's a child that you raised for 30 years, 35 years. And it didn't end up as you were expecting. Such a disappointment. How are you going to console yourself so that you're going to feel okay? Are you going to admit that maybe I was trying to satisfy myself as seeing myself as a good parent, being the perfect father? Or am I going to say that, well, it happened because of this, because of that, this ended up being like this. It's not me. If Abdurrahman didn't become a friend of my son, and he didn't mess up his ways of thinking, then my son would be the best child on earth. It's all Abdurrahman's responsibility now. This is a leaf that I try to cover up myself with because I feel bad. And it happens to, all of us, I guess, in a lot of ways. We are trying to cover up our nakedness with such excuses. And I know that this is not really covering my whole disappointment. My nakedness is not covered by only blaming Abdurrahman for my son's changing his ways, whatever. Does it make sense? And do you hear the last part when the Creator says, and their sustainer called unto them, when their sustainer called upon them. Do you hear your sustainer calling upon you? Did I not forbid that tree unto you? And also telling, when when I mess up things, when I mess up my relationship with my daughter, with my friend, with my spouse, at the end, do I hear deep inside my Creator saying that, didn't I tell you, don't get into this relationship as such? At the beginning, I told you, don't do it like that. You're going to be walimin, you're going to wrong yourself. And Satan is your enemy, yet you listen to the Satan, the whisper, which says, no, no, perfection is good. Go ahead. You did it, and now you are suffering from it. After wronging, this, I guess it's called conscience, starts kicking in, saying that don't blame Abdurrahman. It's not about Abdurrahman, it's about you. You were doing wrong. You were warned against this. You know that if you have this relationship like that, and knowing this again and again, for example, you might be trying to be the best friend. Have you seen those friends? They try to be nice with everyone. They don't want to hurt anybody. And so late at night, I call Abdurrahman and said, oh, Abdurrahman, you know what? There's this assignment for tomorrow. I couldn't do it. Could you come and help me? And you say, I was planning to do this. I was going to go to that discussion, whatever. But if I say no to this guy, what will happen? I don't want to hurt him. In reality, I don't want him to think bad of me. This is maybe, most of the time, at least in my case, reality of why I am doing it. I don't want him to think that I am a bad guy, mean guy. So I go and help Abdurrahman. This cycle keeps going. And I am the nicest guy on earth. And what happens to such nice people? You are raising the bar each and every time. And one day, the guy calls you for another assignment, and you have to now do your assignment. And you say, well, I cannot come. Then you are the worst person on earth. How come? You're not coming to help your friend. Oh, you. So this is how it happens in practical life, right? And it's a immediate punishment, but it's a perfect reminder. The Creator says that you were doing something wrong. And with your friend, I am punishing you, which you deserve truly. You shouldn't be this nice guy for the sake of being yourself being nice. Here is its punishment. And when it happens, which I do a lot, this sort of stupidity, deep inside I know that it was my mistake. When I was being nice with these people, I was not being nice for observing how the Creator is manifesting goodness, or any sort of thing that is relating to the goodness was not being attributed to the Creator. I was attributing goodness to myself. I am the nice guy. And at the end, I realized if you are nice, okay, go and be nice. Go and help. So it happens a lot. So I do hear this, did I not forbid that tree unto you and tell you that Satan is your open enemy? Okay. So now comes any other comments? No? So verse 23. Now the Adam and Eve are responding. قال ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. The two replied, O our sustainer, ظلمنا أنفسنا, we wronged ourselves, I would say, not sinned against, because sinning has a connotation. I don't want to use the sin, although in the translation it's used as sin. ظلمنا أنفسنا, because in the original, the verse above in 19, the Creator was warning them against, you are going to be among the ظالمين, the wrongdoers. And in verse 23 now, Adam and Eve is saying that we wronged ourselves. The same verb, walamna, is being used. So I did this. It was wrong. I was not supposed to get into this relationship with my daughter in this way, with my friend in this way. So I was making the wrong choice. ظلمنا أنفسنا. We wronged ourselves, and I didn't wrong anybody else. I didn't wrong Creator. I wronged myself. It was the wrong choice. I shouldn't have done that. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. The two replied, O our sustainer, we wronged ourselves. And unless you grant us forgiveness and bestow your mercy upon us, we shall most certainly be lost. What do you think about this? How is this different than Satan's response? Because they are in a similar situation. Satan was in a similar situation. His response was, you wronged me, or you misguided me. And as a revenge for this, I'm going to sit in front of this human's road to guidance. I will misguide them. Adam has a different response. He realized his nakedness. Satan, or Iblis, also realized his nakedness. His response was different. So Adam's response is, I admit that I wronged myself. I thought I will be able to become the nicest guy, nicest friend. And I'm realizing that niceness is not an attribute of me. I cannot be nice if you don't make me nice. And there is no way that I'm going to be the nice. Because whatever I manifest, whatever is being seen on me, is being given to me. So for example, if I pay you some, like lend you money, but I am lending you somebody else's money. And I gave you $100 to everyone, but I am spending from somebody else's pocket. It's not my pocket. And tomorrow you guys come again and say that, oh, this guy is paying good money. Tomorrow you come and ask again for 100. I gave you 100 because I don't want you to disappoint you. I don't want you to realize that it's not my pocket, from my pocket. I just want you to keep believing that I am so rich. But the Creator makes it so much so that because your demands will never finish, you said, okay, we find a dumb guy. Let's suck as much milk as we can from this guy. So eventually, the money that I can lend you finishes. Then, although I don't want to admit it to myself, but now I realize that I have to admit it to myself. I always knew it, but I didn't want to admit it to myself. But now I admit to myself that I am broke. I have no money. In the first place, I didn't have any money for myself anyways. I was spending from your pocket. But I was just pretending as if I am nice, I am rich, and giving you money. Apply this analogy to anything in life. Being kind, where is this kindness coming from? Because I cannot be infinitely kind. You know, there comes some point you say, this is too much. I cannot. This guy is just abusing my kindness, sort of. There is a limit, right? Because it was not mine in the first place. I was being given kindness. I was being given mercy. And I was reflecting mercy to this daughter. There comes a point that my mercy comes to this level and saying, okay, whatever, you cannot do this. Then I start being the angry father. So one, and then you realize that I was not merciful. The merciful was pouring his mercy to my pocket, if you like, and I was just paying to her from, but it was his. So when giving my mercy to her, I should have reminded her, saying that this is not my mercy. Thank your Creator for this merciful relationship. Don't thank me for this merciful relationship. Boys, I mean, this guy is married. One day you guys will get married.
I'm already there.
Oh, you are there, perfect. So when you give this gift to your wife, because for men, being Superman is like, in your wife's eye, if you are the ideal husband. This is what a Superman is like. Okay, I don't care about anybody else. In her eyes, if I am the perfect, then no problem. So, as if I am doing this to get this feeling as a payback. I'm running for this strong man imagery in her eyes. With whose power? With whose qualities I am doing this? I am giving to her as if it's from my own pocket. So I am wronging myself. And unless you grant us forgiveness and bestow your mercy upon us, we shall most certainly be lost.
One point which is just very maybe auxiliary to the main point, I'm not sure about.
Auxiliary meaning
Like on the periphery, not at the core.
tangential. Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe it's at the core, I don't know. So this is something I realize, like not everybody, some of at the end of the verses, or some of the verses, there's a recurring pattern, becoming something. Like the first verse that we read in 19, tekune minez zalimin, like tekune, you become something, right? And the human becoming zalimin, the wrongdoer. And then the Iblis says, no, if you eat, you tekune minel
ملكين أو تكون من
Yeah.
الخالدين.
khalidin, minal khalidin, tekune minal khalidin. You become the eternal one. And then everything happens, and what you become at the end is nekuna minal khasirin. Again, becoming Harrison, the lost. So, like, if we take it as a story of human, a story of myself, it's like my striving for becoming perfect. At the end, I'm becoming lost. And I guess the contrast between the two is becoming Zion, becoming wrongdoer. The perfection, the eternity that we are looking for, it's already there in the creation. Like wherever we look, whatever we get contact with, tells us about the perfection of the Creator. So perfection is there in front of our eyes. But we want to become the perfect one ourselves, as you were saying. I want to become perfect. And through this desire, through this feeling, what I become is lost. So it's the story of human, it's the progress that we go through all the time. I want to become perfect, and I become lost. And I become lost, I realize, that everything I did, I become the wrongdoer at the end of the journey, through this journey, and go back to my Creator, where I see the perfection at the very beginning.
So practically, how do you feel lost? What does it mean, feeling lost after this realization of grand stuff or whatever the examples that we gave? What does it mean that if you don't forgive me, again, what is forgiveness in there? And if you don't grant your mercy on me, I'm going to be lost. What does this mean? Or the loser, whatever. Khasiri.
I guess practically speaking, like it's the easiest thing to explain because this is what I am all the time. And every
Loser.
trial that I had, at the end I'm the loser. Like regardless of the grade I get or the reviews I receive, whether it is accepted or not, it's what I am. I'm the loser because at the end I realize I don't have anything. I cannot hold any perfection on me. And through this process, when I become zalimin, meaning when I darken my life, like zulm is also darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I darken my life, when I put a veil between myself and the perfection that I'm looking for, I don't have anything and I'm looking for perfection. So the only perfection I can get is the perfection of my Creator that I can experience. And if I also cut my relationship with these as well, what I am, nothing, just darkness. I put darkness in my life because I block the light of the perfectness, the perfection of my Creator. So when I see the success, for instance, like I'm looking for success. Why? Because I see something there. There's a light which attracts me. I see something there. But I interpret this light as if it's something I can take and put on me, and I become glowing. I become the successful one. As Iblis says, I become minal khalidin. I want to become minal khalidin. And then, whether I become successful or not, it doesn't matter. I realize that I cannot hold this light on me. I become the best student in my class. What is next? There's always next. It doesn't end. And every time it increases, the things that I have to achieve increases. Never decreases. That life doesn't never become easier. That's what they always say, right? Well, don't worry, after primary school, when you learn all these things become easier. But it does not. Because people and yourself ask more with every step. So anyway, when I look at the success, there's a light there, perfection there, and I want it for myself. I want to become the perfect. And when I try it, I cannot do it. Maybe I can become a professor, maybe I can get some awards, but it won't satisfy me, it won't become the perfect that I'm looking for. And when I realize that, and through these, the actions that I do, I bring darkness in my life. The perfection of the Creator also becomes fainted, it goes away, fades out. So at the end, what I am is just a loser. I also lose the light that I was enjoying.
You were saying something?
I just was thinking about, this last part relating to this idea of scrambling for the leaves, right? This scrambling at something that's inadequate for the
Making the
purpose for what you're trying to achieve. And realizing like, I am not going to figure this out. I can't fix this, right? And, at the same time, like we were talking about the word forgiveness, the ghafara is also to cover. Right? It's also like a cover. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm thinking of it that way, right? Like we're going to be lost. and I can't figure it out. But if you forgive, right? If you're able to forgive, and if you guide, then I have hope. Otherwise, I'm going to keep here scrambling and picking up this thing, and picking up that thing, and getting nowhere. Eating ice cream, gaining weight. There's brownies downstairs.
You say Bismillah, it's okay.
Do the biha. Allow Allah.
And there's this other part of being lost. So when I want perfection, if there's no one on earth tasting my biryani, would I care about perfecting it? Or if nobody is going to read my application, do I care about writing the best paper? Or if people stop appreciating me, how would I feel about it? I did it for getting some sort of appreciation. This is generally how I do it. I want to be the best husband. And once she says no,
Oh, I know.
then how would I feel about this? You want to be important for someone, and these someone's making you feel important is not either satisfying you or they don't pay attention to you. So I guess everybody experiences this in some sort of a relationship, but like the shiniest example of this is the superstars, like the movie stars, whatever. So they have a very shiny life, but the satisfaction in there is to the extent that people are loving them and shouting after them, whatever. What sort of a satisfaction do they have? I mean, from outside, whatever. But this is an extreme example. But when it comes to myself, same thing applies in here. I was trying to achieve some sort of a perfection. I realized it was something totally fake. I was trying to gain value by being perfect, and I realized that it's not possible to gain such a value. I cannot be valuable, but I want to be valuable. I don't want to be lost. I don't want to be unrecognized. I cannot really bear being nothing. But nakedness in this case makes me realize that I am nothing. I used to lend you money, but once the bank said that, okay, you were just spending out of our pocket, no more money, I realized that I was no one actually. I was not generous. I was actually stealing from the bank and delivering it to you. I was not valuable. In contrast, I was very valueless actually. So this valuelessness is my lost. So I'm no one. And this really hurts me. So how do I get out of this valuelessness? If you don't forgive me, if you don't shower your mercy on me, meaning that as if I recognize that in you, I am valuable, this is the only way I can find value. My maker is giving me existence, and I am the manifestation of his mercy. I am being created with mercy. Like, look at this baby. When you look at the baby, you observe that. Sometimes I just say that, oh, may God love you, when I am just playing with her. Then I realize it's very evident that God is loving this baby. And look at her, everything is in place, and also look that the perfect food is being prepared and sent. Like, very caring people are just trying to make her as comfortable as possible outside of their will, involuntarily, as if you are serving her. You don't want her to cry. It's not by choice, really. You just urge to do it, right? So definitely somebody loves her and just dedicated 2 people for her service. So if only I realize that the value, the appreciation that I am seeking for is not in anybody else's eyes. It's only realizing that I am being given existence. This is my value. I mean, in him, if you like, I am being, if I have any existence, it's only in him giving me existence. This is my only way of feeling satisfied or not getting lost. At this point, I would love to make a advertisement of a novel, but it's not translated yet. Anyways, inshallah, one day. There was a nice psychology sort of a novel that is talking about this value that humans seek in other people's eyes. I am trying to be kind to my friend. I am trying to be the best husband. Why do I do all this? Why am I seeking for this perfection? I want to feel valuable. Satan felt valuable relative to somebody else, not relative to creator, not relative to source of existence. Relative to somebody else, he was seeking perfection. He was saying that I am better than Adam. And I am trying to be valuable in the eyes of my wife. I am trying to be the perfect husband, of course, relative to my wife. And this is what's failing me. So then what am I going to do? I mean, this is an inner desire to feel valuable. And it looks like I am doomed. I mean, it's unsatisfiable anyways. I can never be the perfect husband, never can be the perfect friend. As much as I attribute the value to myself, I am naked anyways. So in whose eyes, if you like, metaphorically speaking, am I valuable then? So this in here, Adam solves the riddle really. Says that if you are merciful to me, and if you are forgiving me, because I acknowledge my neediness, and you are the only one who accepts a needy one as a friend. Abdurrahman doesn't like needy friends. He wants to be friends with smart, handsome people. If he realizes that I am a loser, he is going to find a better friend for himself. As I realize that I am naked, who is going to take me as a friend? The one who gives me existence as a loser in the first place. So he is the one that is giving me all this existence with everything. So the only satisfaction that I can find is going back to my understanding my state, saying that with your mercy, which is manifesting through me, this is my only way of satisfaction. By realizing your mercy, by realizing that despite my neediness, you are the one that still gives me existence. And I'm happy with that.
Reminding me of Dua Taif.
Taif, oh yeah.
Okay. They complain they don't like me, people aren't happy with me. As long as you're happy, I don't mind.
Yeah. So still we have 4 verses, and let's leave them for next week, inshallah. Any closing remarks, comments?
Thank you very much.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة